It's all right.
Can you make my hair look like this? Oh, man, what you want to make your hair look like that for?
See, that's the problem with y'all today. Y'all don't know nothing.
Will you let the man tee you off? You yap worse than 6 barbers.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Your Barber podcast. My name is Matt Ballot, a.k.a. Matty Blades. We're up to episode number 27. Took off a little week, a little break, got everything right. Now we're back. So the Your Barber podcast was made to inspire and relate to the everyday barber and share the life/barber story of our barber guest. And today, our guest is hailing all the way out there from Los Alamitos, California. He is the owner of Old Traditions Gentleman's Parlor. His name is Jason Rios. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him in. Welcome, Jason, to the show. How's it going, my man?
No, I said thank you. Thanks for having me, man. You know, the shop name's a little long, so we usually like to go with OTGP, you know, kind of for our initials. So OTGP, Old Traditions Gentleman's Parlor. So.
Oh, yeah, man. Sorry, I butchered that. I'll edit that.
No worries.
I have a mouthful sometimes. I had to kind of prep myself, and I still jacked it up.
Right? Yeah. You know, the whole intent behind that, too, was just to kind of, you know, it's like it's either going to stick or it's not going to stick. But if it doesn't stick, it's going to be like Old Traditions or Gentleman's Barbershop. One way or another, something sticks, you know?
That's what I wanted to keep saying. Gentleman's Barbershop instead of parlor or Gentleman's Parlor. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, if I can kind of start with that. I just, you know, at the time when I was kind of opening up the shop, everyone was coming out and, you know, just your standard barbershop. And for me, I'm like, hey, I want to specialize a little bit more on that straight razor, you know? So I felt like, in a sense, kind of combining it with like a shave parlor type of deal. That's pretty much the whole, you know, initial thought behind Old Traditions.
Absolutely, man. That's what separates us, right? The straight razor, the hot towel shave.
Yeah.
You know, we expose a lot of clients to that have never been exposed to it sometimes. And
you're right.
Treat you like the second coming if you can do it. They're like, oh my God, he's using the straight razor. Like, it's just, it's an odd thing that some people have never experienced it. So that's what makes it special, man.
That's true. I mean, that's actually kind of how I, you know, got my first true barber experience. It was through a gift certificate, right? Gifted to me through a friend. And, you know, I usually would go down to the $5 spot growing up, you know, in the neighborhood and just go get chopped up. I'm the youngest of 5. So my dad would be like, here you guys go, just go get a haircut. And I went and I got a nice, clean, proper haircut. You know, they cleaned me up around the ears, the neck shave and everything with a straight razor. I got a full hot towel shave and it just, like you said, it blew my mind, you know, a second coming. And I was just like, this is a whole nother level. So I kind of stayed stuck, you know, with that for a minute until I decided to go to barber school.
It's a nice treat to pamper yourself. That's what I tell my clients. They're like, you know, that don't get to do it often. I was like, yeah, man, treat yourself. It's nice.
Yeah.
And I got an opening segment here called Just an Observation. It's kind of a, you know, an icebreaker of sorts, right?
Right.
My observation today, I worked yesterday. You said you took off today?
Yeah.
So
I was off today.
Do you normally work on Tuesdays or?
Well, right now my schedule, it's kind of a little all over the place, right? As you can kind of tell. So I'm doing kind of night school. I'm trying to adjust to the night school schedule. I was hoping to be at the shop a little bit early in the mornings, but the night schedule has just been kind of, you know, kicking my butt, man, to be honest. So I haven't been at the shop as early and as much as possible right now. But once I kind of get into the groove of it, I'm going to start doing it. So right now, in a sense, I'm just going by appointment, you know, with my clients. So I'm down to like about 1 to 2 days a week, which right now it's cool. Cause I mean, I got the school kind of going on as well, you know?
Okay. We'll get into that in a second, the school, because that's a very interesting wrinkle for sure.
Right.
But so my observation, I worked yesterday, Monday, and I'm taking a look at my schedule, my phone. I'm like, okay, what is this at the end of my day? A buzz cut, right? So like on Monday, I work 9:30 to 5, but I got to be like out by 5 because I got to pick up my daughter. And you know how it goes. You have kids. You don't want to be that last dad showing up at the daycare.
Right, right.
You know, your daughter's riding
Your kid's
around on
at the
a
office.
tricycle. Yeah. Daughter's riding around by herself on a tricycle in the at the jungle gym. You don't want that. So
yeah.
so I gotta be out, and I'm looking. I'm like, buzz cut. I'm like, sometimes that's like the lowest service we offer. Like a buzz cut is just like one number all the way around. Like, you know, we're not even obligated to, like, you know, give you an outline or line you up or anything like that. So, you know, that's on there typically for bald guys, right? It's just like a 0 all the way around or something like that. So
quick cleanup.
Yeah, it tends to go 15 minutes, but it blocks off 30 minutes basically.
Right.
So I'm looking at this guy's history, and I'm like, okay, the last time he got like a skin fade and a beard combo, like, why do I get the feeling this guy's gonna be like, yeah, just a buzz cut. So yeah, skin fade, beard line. It's like, wait, that's not that's not the buzz cut. So you know, we have assistants in our shop and everything. And I was like, hey, Deja, can you give them a call here? Give them a chance to wake up. It was like 9 a.m. Like, give him a chance to wake up and see if this is correct. Just ask him what haircut he wants. And so that's cool. We have that data. We can see like what they previous got. But he was a chair hopper in our shop. So like he goes to everyone. So he didn't go to me last time, and so if he was getting a buzz cut, so I was like, okay, so it's worked out in this instance. But that's my observation. Just like clients taking advantage of a service that's on the list that's nowhere near what they're fucking getting, right?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you? Booking?
Well, with me with haircuts, I think what would happen is a lot of the times, right, with the standard buzz cut, I would get like hey, I just need a quick buzz cut. Then, you know, you take that appointment, like you said, you know, just the last one, you're like, all right, man, I'm going to make an exception. Just come through, right, by the phone. And then all of a sudden they sit in the chair and they're like, well, you know, but you're going to go ahead and just kind of clean up the neck and taper it up, right? Yeah. And then the beard, you're going to go ahead and blend it and you're going to, you know, just kind of line it up. And
hey, man, what about my mustache? Can you get that?
Right.
This isn't what. This isn't
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know how you feel about like the end of your day, but like I don't take a lunch break. I'm kind of weird. Like I'll come in early. I won't take a lunch break. I'll go all day. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm out. I'm not I'm not messing around with the client that calls 5 minutes till close. Like, he just wants to line up. I'm like, has that ever just been a lineup? No.
No, you know,
it always turns into it's a beard lineup too, right? That's a lineup. It's everything. No,
exactly. With a hot towel, right? You're gonna do the hot towel, and then they want to go with the lowest price. Oh, it's the price on the top.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like my last guest, he had like OG prices for like his old clients and everything that were kind of locked in at a price. Yeah. And he's like, I'm thinking about getting rid of that because people are like abusing it a little bit. Like, you know, it'll be a brand new client and they'll book the OG price and be like, oh, I don't know what happened. I just clicked it.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that happening. I did see that, you know, episode. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that would kind of get a little confusing. You know, our menu, I have it pretty basic, but I feel like
what's your prices and your services looking like?
You know, we pretty much have your standard, you know, general haircut. That's $35, you know, so super affordable. We have our kids cuts at $27, and then we have our senior cuts at $20. You know, working with those pensions. So come see us. We got you. And then we have just our lineup with your clippers, which would be also, I believe it's, I don't do those just too much, but I believe they're about $20, $25 for just a quick lineup with the trimmers. And then if you want to get the full hot towel and everything, the treatment, that's pretty much just a standard 35, just like a haircut in a sense, you know? So, like, and then we just have a combo. Yeah, pretty much a full shave, or if you want the hot with the razor and clean up like the whole neck area, and you know what I'm saying? A little bit more spot out with it. So, and then we have the final thing, which is our royal shave. So that's pretty much a haircut and your beard combo. So 35 and 35. And then we just minus pretty much $5 off that.
Okay. So wait,
and then we have, yeah.
Cool.
And then just first responders. But I mean, I feel like our menu, once I kind of explain it, like with the first responders and including the seniors, it kind of makes it all over, all over the place. But it's just literally like kids cuts, adults cuts, and then just shave and like a beard trim. That's it,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of it's nice that you tiered out. It's very very fair pricing, it seems, and you guys appeal to appease to every type of client, it seems. A lot of people are getting rid of the tiers, right? Because you get a guy that's like 45 with gray hair. He's like, yeah, I get that senior price, right? Like,
right.
What's the senior price start at? Like 65? Like what age?
For us, yeah, it's 65, I think we Googled it once a few years ago. We've been open already a couple of years at the shop, when we first opened up, and we kind of Googled it at some point, and we're like, what's the retirement age? And we're like, all right, cool. We should go with this,
Yeah. I feel like I typically see 65 normally the age.
Yeah. And then for our kids cuts, it's, I think 13 and under. So once you're 13 and above, pretty much once a kid's old enough to kind of be like, hey, I want this little design right here, then that's pretty much when we'll start kind of charging it with the full price. But we'll also kind of, all of our haircuts include the hot towel and the straight razor. We'll clean up the eyebrows and kind of the nose if we have to, and the ears. So it's kind of like the full service, shabam bam of it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I was gonna say the kids, they grow up one day and they're like, man, it's about that time to transition over.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's just something that, like, if a lot of barbers don't like to deal with the kids cuts, right? Like, I got a lot of colleagues and just friends that don't like to do kids cuts. But that's exactly what I say. Ultimately,
they grow up.
As long as you're patient, they're going to grow up. They're going to pay you, just adult prices. So, I mean, I got kids cuts that their moms used to drop them off. And now these guys are going to college 2-3 years in. They're DJs. They got BMWs. And I'm like, who would have thought? That's cool, though. You know what I'm saying? But it's also cool because that's the beauty about barbering, that we're able to kind of see them, through their life events and, surpass these things and just, be someone cool and stuff like that, in a sense.
Yeah.
Contribute to society.
We instill a lot of influence and, we mold them, that we have their ear in a different way, it seems, our clients and kids, especially, they might tell us some things that a lot of other people or, their parents or folks aren't privy to, for sure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Jason and I don't know each other at all. We I was referred to you by Alan May. Once again, Alan May, swinging the lumber.
12th Street right
podcast.
there. Yeah. 12th Street.
12th Street Barber.
Yeah.
Parker,
What's
Arizona,
up, Alan?
man. Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Alan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's a super cool dude. So he came to your shop. Did he pay you a visit?
Yeah, we had an anniversary event. I think it was back in 2019, and he kind of drove out here and enjoyed the event with us and everything. And since then, we just kind of stayed linked up. I've made the drive out there as well. I've enjoyed kind of the day with him and stuff like that. So it's been cool. I've been trying to make my way out there more and stuff like that, but it's always kind of challenging with things, life, and just the schedule. But it's always a good time, though, for sure, man. I mean, Alan's a cool person, great barber and stuff like that. And we always, we often kind of just call each other and just we'll talk, shop talk and a little bit of like, hey, man, what do you think with this? And what's up with your marketing game? And what are you doing? And, it's just always nice to have someone that you can just talk business with.
Yeah, it's funny because he said he was never an Instagram guy before. And then he's all about it now. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And for me, it's like I'm always tagging. So I was always tagging him and plugging him all this stuff online. And, finally he's up to the current time. So that's kind of the thing, I mean,
I was telling him, I'm like, dude, get off that knee. He hurt his knee. I don't know if you know how he hurt it, but like, I was saying, get off that knee, man. Get on the ice. He was doing like backflips off a bridge or jumping in a pool or something after he hurt the knee. So I was like, get off that.
Probably onto the Colorado River or something over there.
Right. He's on the bike. He's on the road, man.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. So let's get into your background, man. Let's
Yeah.
go. Got a lot going on now, but let's go to then. Let's go all the way back. So where's the
Right.
story start? Where were you born, first of all?
So I am actually born and raised in Orange County out here in California. So I've been here pretty much my whole life. You know, I went to barber school. My parents are pretty much from Mexico, right? So I'm actually first generation over here.
Awesome.
So I always say, yeah, I definitely wanted to be the first person in my family to start a business and just kind of take pride in it. And for a while, you know, growing up, I was like, I'm going to put my last name on there just because I want my last name. And I was, you know, proud about that. But in all reality, I just kind of really focus on the business part of it. And I'm like, this is my livelihood. I got to make sure, you know, I make money. Yeah. So, but like I said, it was just kind of cool to have that opportunity, you know. And I think it's also something that my family has just kind of seen. And it's also, I guess, in a sense, surprised them, you know, especially being the youngster in the family. So that's kind of just, in a sense, my family, right? So, but I went to barber school in the city of Anaheim. I went to the Rios Barbers College.
What was childhood like? What was like, you know, what were you into growing up? What were some of like the things just growing up on a regular day off? What were you getting into?
My whole life literally was just based off of, you know, I'm in California. So my skateboard and music, man, punk rock music. I was a bassist. Okay. So before I got into barbering, a lot of people kind of out my way know me through the music scene. But I used to play pretty much just a little bit of punk rock. And then from punk rock, I merged over to a style called psychobilly, which is a mixture of punk rock and rockabilly. So I went from playing the electric bass to actually slapping like the upright bass and more of like the traditional old school scene, you know, which is, which is what kind of, it ties me down to, that's what kind of connects me to like the traditional world of barbering, because I've always been into like vintage stuff. I've always been into the classic music. I've always been into classic cars, motorcycles. I've ridden bikes. I've had cars. I had to sell 2 cars to fund my shop. So, but yeah, growing up, you know, it was all about skateboarding and it was all about my music. So I did that hard for, I want to say, from junior high to about the time my daughter was born. 2011 is when I stopped playing music. But yeah, I actually thought music was going to be my life originally, you know. That was the game plan.
Did anyone introduce you to music, or do you have any like direct influence in music?
I would say my older brother, because he was just, this is through grade school, right? But he started playing the saxophone just for the marching band. And I just thought it was pretty cool, you know, but I would see the drummers and I'm just like in the lineup, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to do that. Like drumline, that'd be pretty cool. So I tried it, but I'm actually left-handed. And when I went to go do kind of like the little rehearsal thing, right, the tryouts, they gave me the drumstick and they put the drumstick in my hand. And I'm here, you know, a 6th grader, probably what, like 12, 13. And they're like, go ahead and like tap it. See how, you know, your coordination. And I kind of did it all wonky because I'm right-handed. So I never thought about switching it. Yeah. They're like, give me that drumstick. They're like, you're not a drummer. They're like, here you go. They gave me a trumpet. They're like, try the trumpet.
In 5th grade.
Oh, did you? No way.
Yeah. Super so they wanted that little bounce, right? That little.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to see that you can kind of bounce it. So I couldn't get that down. So I actually became a trumpet player, and I played the trumpet from 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade. And then I also did jazz band. And that's when from jazz band, I don't want to play trumpet anymore. And I did the pretty much electric bass. And I started doing that for jazz band. And I stuck around with the electric bass and started my first little side project with friends at the age of 14. And it became a business, to be honest with you, you know, it became a little business. I always treated it as like my business because so, you know, part of my story is that at the age of 14, I was hanging around at the bars trying to kind of sell my music, you know. So when I talk to a lot of the young barbers, I tell them that you also, it's kind of in you, you know, it's not something that I just randomly opened up the shop and stuff like that. But everything that I've learned in life, I apply it now. Right. So even like photography, I did 1 semester of photography and, you know, I love photography. So I try to incorporate it just as much as possible.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like, I remember one of the coolest things my dad did growing up when I was like 10 or 11. He got me a video camera. I begged him for this little like viewfinder, like video camera, you know, the one that like had a screen on it.
Like
you
this?
didn't have to like no, you didn't have to do that. It was like a viewfinder, so you could hold
Oh,
it
cool.
with like one or
Nice.
two hands, and there was like a big like display screen in the middle of it.
That's right.
So that was that was kind of like my little intro to just fucking around with the camera, like
Right.
and mainly
Super
it was
cool.
just like filming me and my friends, like fucking around, reenacting like movies, or just like playing dodgeball in my on my best friend's basement, just
That is super
rewinding
cool.
it back. It was like, dude, you got drilled in the face.
Right.
Shit like that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, that was when I first
That is
started
super
like
cool.
messing around. And then like in high school, we did like the morning announcements, and like we edited
cool.
projects and stuff like that. So did some like
So you've always
technical
done a little
directing.
bit of that.
Yeah, I've
that
always kind of messed
IT,
around.
computer, video.
Yeah, I just I knew when I got into this, like it wouldn't take too long to like figure it out. It kind of came a long way from the beginning of yeah, I think my first podcast was like almost 3 hours. It was like no editing, like just
wow.
just like let's press record and figure it out, man. Let's just go and we'll figure it out. Let's just go.
Absolutely.
So, hell yeah, man.
That's right.
But you said you had 4 other siblings.
Yes.
So how was that? How was that growing up? Like how was the challenge of like trying to stand out, or did you just try to blend in really? Like what was that like? Because I'm an only child, so like I get selfish in a lot of ways about things. So, like,
right.
Like someone moves my shit, I'm like, yo, what the? Come on, man.
Right. No, you know what? I guess due to that, I mean, I grew up, in a room full of just 2 bunk beds, man. 2 bunk beds, and just noisy, and like, just shut up and turn off your phone once the phones came around. Get out the restroom type of deal at the house. So, but it was kind of interesting, but I think also me being the younger ones, I always hear my older brother saying that I got it the easiest, right? So maybe I kind of went under the radar, because my parents were just kind of busier, a little bit older and stuff like that. But it just, I don't know. I felt like I spent a lot of time skateboarding out in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like my main fundamentals and where I got a lot of my knowledge was, the School of Hard Knocks and just the streets and being out and seeing things that I shouldn't have seen, and just getting exposed to all that at early young age, and especially, just growing up in the hood pretty much, long story short. So the demographics of it and stuff. So if it wasn't the cops chasing you, it was pretty much gangsters trying to kick your ass, man.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, it teaches you some valuable lessons at the end of the day. It gives you some street smarts. I mean, I'm sure your perception can be a little different from others. You might be able to read people. Like barbering's a lot of reading people. Like, getting their vibe, and you can kind of tell what they want and what they don't want, or whether
I'm big with that.
Full of shit or not.
Yep. I'm big with that, man. You just said it, like, especially with the vibe, for me, someone will come in and I'll have literally like, I mean, not even that long of a conversation with someone, and I'm already kind of like, I don't know, something about this cat's just sketchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out. And that's the thing about me too. Like, I never wait to find out. I'm just like, I'm out. I'm cool. I don't need to, I don't need to see what's, I don't need to find out. I'm not that nosy,
Yeah. So say there's a client in your chair, he's a first time client, and he's kind of like mean mugging. He might be a little yard hard or some shit. And then like, you get through the haircut, and by the end, he's like all smiles, laughing, dapping you. Like, that goes like that sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I kind of always, to tag along with that, right? I always say that's kind of like the power also behind the razor and behind what we do. But I always say you can have the biggest, baddest, like, head honcho of I don't care who it is. But when he's in your chair, it's like, hey, you sit down and, you extend that neck out and let's go ahead and clean you up.
Respect like a razor to your neck, right?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think with that too, I mean, a lot of people just show his love and stuff like that, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get held up, man. It's a special job. I don't think a lot of people understand. And that's part of the goal of this podcast, is to give people that perspective of, where we're coming from, and, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and just how important we are to the community, and, how respected we are. So we have to we have to kind of maintain that responsibility, and it's easier said than done sometimes. We're human at the end of the day. So we got families, we're raising kids, we're all trying to balance it, Sometimes,
That's right.
let's throw this question out there in the middle of this. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, you ever have one of those days where everything's just fucking clicking? Like, you close your eyes, you touch something, it works. Like,
Right.
Describe those days. It's like everything's going perfect versus something that's not going perfect. Like, how do you handle when things just the dominoes aren't falling your way? And like in the client's eyes, like we're still giving them this fresh haircut, right? And it's like, dude, you crushed it again, man. And you might be having like the office day you've ever had.
Yeah.
Like you're just you're just cutting in one spot over and over. You're like, dude, what am I doing? Come on, Matt.
Yeah.
I can wake up here.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of combat that sometimes? You just gotta.
Well, I think ultimately, I mean, you just try to fight it. You just try to fight it. You just try to gun through it and stuff like that. But no, I mean, ultimately, when I'm having kind of an off day, like you already know, man, you go into the shop and you're just like, man, my spot was taken. You know what I'm saying? Stuff is already off, and you're just like, something's off. My coffee creamer is not there. The usual hazelnut that I like. Now they got fresh vanilla.
That's all it has to be. Like you miss buckling your seatbelt like 3 times or some shit. You're like, like,
yeah. And then for me, it's like I tend to have, like my tools. Like I don't do house calls, but I have my backpack because I take it from school. I take it to work. So this is an off day, right? So then I get to the shop. And then I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Forget the coffee, forget the parking spot. Let me just set up. I got so-and-so coming in right now. And, it just doesn't start kind of lining up, It just starts throwing you off. The client comes in and you're just kind of like.
No, I totally get it though. No, I hear like one of the things that's the best part about barbering, because you could have a messed up day, nothing's lining up, and then you bust through a couple clients and then bam, you're right back on. Right? Like it's like nothing distracts you like cutting hair, and just I'm like, all right, I'm right now. I got 2, 3 clients done. I'm like, all right, I'm back.
Yeah. And then for me, it's like the client will show up, open my backpack, or I'll already be set up, and then it's like I forgot my cool care at home, or I forgot this at school, and that starts kind of throwing me off. And then of course it's like, oh, I forgot my clips. Now I gotta like freehand this and start kind of shaping this, and it just kind of throws your system off a little bit.
All your shit, you just clip her over, comb with a trimmer, the whole haircut.
You're just like, hey, who's got a peanut? Who's got a peanut around here? Right? You'll take anything at that point.
No doubt. Yeah, I'm big on like where my shit is. Like, we might have like turnover in the shop or something. And like, Matt, you want to change stations? I'm like, absolutely not. Like,
right.
I'm just now getting used to where my shit is. Like,
yeah, it's true though.
I'm such a creature of habit with that type of thing, man.
True. So I think for me, that would be kind of more of like the off day in a sense, just kind of having like a little thing that in a sense I didn't ultimately prepare accordingly, but it's always the small stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's always like the cutting cape. You know what I mean? It's always like the combs. It's always like the Sanics, so never the tools or anything like that, or the shears,
Yeah. It's not like necessarily we need a neck strip, but it's like, it's just the ritual of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Open your backpack and just get everything out from there. You don't need anything from nobody,
Yeah. So you do a lot of house calls?
No. So I don't do any house calls. So I pretty much just cut at the shop and then just do demos at the school and just help out the students at the school. So, yeah.
I don't do house calls either. I'm like,
right. It's just too much.
You hear it like, I mean, especially during COVID, that was like a big thing. And I was like, dude, all my shit's at the shop. I'm like,
right.
I'm like, I just have the shitty shit, like the hand-me-down, the things I phased out at my house. Like all my clients get the good stuff at the shop.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're right about that, but yeah, COVID was crazy, man, for sure.
Absolutely, dude. Okay, so let's get back into your story, man. So where were we? So you were in a band. You kind of were making a little money here and there. You built a reputation a little bit.
Yeah, started freelancing within the music scene.
13 to 17, probably, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so no one cut hair in your family, though?
Nope. Actually, I have absolutely like zero background when it comes to cutting hair. Well, actually, I lied. My mom ended up telling me once I was like 6 years into barbering, right? She's just kind of like, hey, did I ever tell you that I went to barber? She went to Cosmo school. She's like, I went to Cosmo school. And I was like, nah, you never told me this. Like, I
What
went
the
to
hell,
school, I
Mom?
graduated, I opened up the shop. I'm like, and you never mentioned it. She's like, oh, I totally thought I had told you that. So that's probably the only family member, you know, my mom that just kind of tried school. She was a beauty school dropout.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to finish this for my mama.
Oh, yeah,
You
man.
know?
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I lied before on the podcast. I said my family tree, there's like zero artistic like influence, or no one's an artist really in like the traditional sense, at least. And I'm like, oh, take that back. My dad did like mess around with the guitar. He had a drum set, but he just, you know, he riffed. He never really like did anything with it. It was just like, you know, I'm older now. I want to fuck around and play the guitar. I'm going to try to play it along with the song. So that's all it was really, but yeah, nothing else. So with your folks, were they like supportive? So wait, how old are you? Number one, Jason.
I am 37.
37. Okay.
Yeah.
It's got a nice ring to it. 37. I always say 37 while I'm thinking of a random number.
Right.
It's like I said it 37 times. No.
Yeah, it's like 37's enough, you know. It's a perfect number. It's just, it's good. Yeah.
So when you were finishing up high school, like what were you into high school wise? Still playing in the band and everything, right?
Yeah, pretty much just the music. I mean, you know, just hardcore. As soon as I came out from high school, I wanted to start kind of traveling. So I started doing a little bit of like light touring, going to like Arizona, going to like Vegas, Nevada, and stuff like that. Started going up north throughout pretty much the state of Cali, you know, went up to Sacramento and just kind of worked our way down. So I also kind of got to a point where I wanted a freelance because I wanted to see if I can get picked up by, you know, in a sense, a bigger band and stuff like that. So I had an offer when my son was going to be born to play for a band. They were going to go on a European tour and stuff like that. But, you know, at that time, I just kind of decided to be there for him and stuff like that, you know?
That's
so
like Crossroads, man. That's a decision you made that probably, I mean, just it's like that butterfly effect thing, right? Like, think if you would have turned your back on your family essentially and like went after that, you know, how things would have turned out. It would have been,
I wouldn't have been able to live with it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, it would have been a completely different life probably that, you know, maybe not as fulfilling in the end, you know. It's hard to tell, but
to be honest with
you
you,
made the right decision.
Yeah. I always say, you know, my kids kind of, in a sense, saved my life, but they kind of gave me a different perspective because when I was playing music, I mean, I was just kind of going hard with music and living that little lifestyle and just kind of, you know, just getting into a lot of things and stuff like that. So, you know, I always say they just, exactly, you know, so I always just say my kids, in a sense, you know, I had my son when I was 23. So I say it was just kind of meant to be, you know, so he kind of saved my life in that regard because now it wasn't just about me. It was just kind of like, wait, what? I got him following me around. So, you know?
Yeah. 23. I mean, that's on the latter part of, I mean, 23, I was wild for sure. But like 25, you're kind of like, all right, what the fuck am I doing right now? Like,
right.
What's life's going to be for me? Like, that's when
and by 27 is when I signed up for barber school.
Right. So, okay. So like out of high school, you kind of took the band more serious. And then your wife's pregnant. Were you guys married at that time or were you just together?
No, that's from my previous marriage. So I'm remarried now.
So that was okay. So, I didn't know that. That's an interesting wrinkle. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the kid and then you're
it's been a long journey, man. It's
absolutely
a lot of life events, you know, a lot of life events. That's why I'm like, where do I start with this?
I know, man. A lot. No doubt.
Yeah.
So you go to barber school. Walk me through that.
My son was already 4 when I started barber school.
Oh, you started when he was 4? Okay.
Yeah. So I had already been kind of doing his haircut just a tiny little bit, right? Cleaning him up because I wanted to just make him look good. And that's when, the typical like, well, worst case, I'll just learn how to kind of clean up this guy,
Yeah.
So I went to school and I was like, I'm just going to do a little tour. And that same day, like I came out and I had signed a contract and I'm like, well, I guess I signed up for barber school. They got me.
So
Yeah.
what was that like walking? How'd you approach school?
Yeah.
Did you just like walk into school and be like, hey, like you guys accepting new students or?
So I had pretty much just been researching, online in a sense, just around my area. What was the best college, right? I was like, I want to go to the top barber school. Like I want to go to like that premium. So I found a spot called the Rio Barbers College, and it's based out in the city of Anaheim in Cali. So, I figured how legit is that? So I ended up signing up. The older gentleman that owned it at the time, his name was Mr. Augie. He was, his claim to fame was that he had hooked up like JFK back in the day, and he was in the Navy. So he learned how to cut, on the boats and stuff like that. So when I started school back in 2013, he was still kind of, his health was still good because his health started kind of just taking a toll, right, for the worse, especially when I was in school. So he would kind of like have us all lined up like traditionally, your standard shop with everyone on one side. And he was really big about us palming stuff, right? So he would treat us kind of like the Navy. He would walk up and down the row of barbers and he'd like yell at you like, hey, your posture's bad. You know what I mean? You're not palming your comb. Why are you not palming something? You know what I mean? Like, you should be doing this. And he would kind of yell at us like that. So
like a militant thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, because he was very old school. And I mean, that was his background,
Right.
like that's where he learned how to cut hair. And then he just opened his institute. So unfortunately, Mr. Augie ended up passing a year after when I completed barber school in 2013. His son kind of tried to take over the school, but he wasn't really involved in the industry. So he had really no knowledge behind it. They sold it to like a couple different school owners and it got tossed around. Long story short, it didn't make it,
Damn,
So,
man.
yeah, which is also the reason why I got nowadays, right, into like instructing, becoming an instructor, because honestly, I just wish I could have been able to save that institute, just for everybody, for the future barbers, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, just back to the militant mentality. I'm sure that's embedded in all these barbers' brains that was in that era. Just like, you go back to like just all these little things that your instructor told you. And like, it's like, wow, that foundation's laid.
Right.
And so like, what was the style outside of, so like from the start to the finish, he was like on your ass. Like, you're not holding your clipper. You're not holding your comb right. Your pawn, he was like that the whole way through, or did you kind of like let you fly at one point once you got to a
Yeah, he would let you fly.
Yeah,
he would let you fly with it. He would just kind of go up and down, kind of observe everyone, in a sense, kind of skateboard style back in the day with the practical when it was still around.
You need to know to pass your boards and everything.
Yeah. And then he would also do it because it would like apply that pressure onto us. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, like he's behind me, and it was just a little bit of that pressure of like not breaking under that pressure of him being there.
So talk about your test. Was that like same pressure there, or was it kind of chill because you're in a room full of a bunch of other people testing, right?
Yes.
So like eyeballs aren't always on you, the whole time.
Right. Well, I was pretty confident, to be honest with you, man. I went in there pretty confident. I took my brother. Back in the day when I took it, I know things have changed tremendously, right? Especially with the test all around through every state, I believe. But, I still had to take my brother. So I had to take a live client and I cut his hair. I had to do an actual shave on him. And then I used a doll head to do like the perms and, the retouch and the tints and all that stuff. But it was a whole
require a practical with the real model these days, or they don't?
No, actually the practical to this day, like it's gone. Like there's no more practical. It's completely eliminated.
Man.
So when I went, so check it out in 20.
So you get to tell your students and shit. You're like, oh man, I had to really, back in my day, I had to do a perm.
Yeah, and we also say like we had to drive to LA because back in the day, State Board was it's located in the city of Glendale in LA. So no matter where you were located in Cali, it's like you had to make the drive to that location, you know? So a lot of barbers literally had to get a hotel overnight, and be ready because if you were not there, you know, literally like when the roll gets called and you're not there at the door waiting with your ID ready to hand it over, they're sending you home.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's
You
a
lost your
month down
chance.
the shitter right there.
Yeah. So for me, thankfully, LA is not too far from Orange County. It's about maybe like an hour, right? So I ended up leaving, let's say around, we were scheduled. I told my brother, hey, we're going to leave at like 4 a.m, man. Get ready. I'm going to make some coffee. We'll be good. He's all right. I got you. Right. It was like
shaky now.
yeah. No, it was like midnight. It was like midnight. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go to bed, you know? It got around to like 2 a.m. and I'm just like, that's it. I'm getting up. I'm going. You know, I woke up my brother and I'm like, hey, I can't sleep. He's like, you want to go? I'm like, let's go. So we went. I literally pulled up to the parking garage. I was there for like, 3-4 hours before the test. And I was literally like reading my test book and I'm like, question. And I would literally go straight to the back. Answer. Question. Answer. I'm like, I'm not even going to waste my time trying to like guess at this point. I just wanted that straight answer so I can retain it last minute, you know?
Yeah. You could just see the words in your head.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so when I took mine, we had a practical and a written in Arizona. Is why I initially got licensed.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, they got rid of the perm like in my the
no
class
way.
I was in, like they got rid of it. And I'm like,
wow.
Thank God. Because I'm sure that was like, I mean, how often do you do perms these days, Jason?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never done a real actual perm. I can simulate it. I can demo it for my barbers. You know what I'm saying? But I've never actually applied chemical. And also like the school that I went to, because that's what I tell a lot of people. Different institutes are different, you know. But the place that I went to, when it came to chemical, because we were heavy on the barber side of it, right? So it was literally like a barber institute, and then it had a little bit of the Cosmo program. So we focused heavy on all the barber stuff. And that's the thing now, like with a lot of the institutes out here, because they're more like cosmetology spots, and then they have a little bit of a barber program, but the barber program's like really small, and it really gets no love, you know, out here nowadays.
Yeah. That sucks. But I mean, there are a lot of cosmetology, techniques and things that are super important today. So,
right.
They definitely need to show, almost equal love to both sides, it seems, right? Like, you don't want to neglect any kind of aspect of it for sure. So, like, just talk about your esteem level in school, like in confidence and like, talk about like, my situation, everyone's situation is different, right? Everyone's got a bunch of layers to their story and like what makes them what. But I deal with a ton of anxiety, like to this day. Like some days are better than others. Like I have to be very ritualistic to get through that anxiety. And like I wake up early in the morning, I stretch, I breathe, like and then I just tell myself, no fear, man. I mean, what are you so afraid of? This is what you do, man. It's all good. So like when you're in school, that's on another level. Like some days it's so big that you can't even like make it in.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So just talk about like maybe at what year in your barber career do you start to shake that like to where it's just like second nature? You know what I mean? Maybe like, at 3 to 5 years in or something where it's like, this is where I can kind of focus on different aspects instead of just like being ready to go every day. You know what I mean?
Right. True. I think kind of in a sense, right? I'm going to answer it this way. I think what kind of put me on game with that, getting to that point of comfort, right, in my career was probably about 2 years in. Once I found myself at, there was an established shop that I really wanted to get into. It took me about 1.5 years. It was in the city of Long Beach. And, I was really persistent. Once I finally got the opportunity to join the shop and everything, it was the greatest thing. I was just like, this is cool. This is like a super old school shop, like one of the best ones out here. Like, this is exactly where I want to be at in my career, And I was comfortable with what I was kind of doing. Of course, like you said, a little bit of that anxiety always. But in a sense, I was like, I kind of got it figured out, once I kind of broke that ice. But my shop owner would literally be like, hey, even though I thought I was done, because for me, it's like I'm always on the go, you know, like I'm very antsy just by nature. So he would make me be like, hey, man, you think you're done, but no, go ahead and just, you know, like stay on that haircut. And he would make me stay there for an hour with each client because he's like, you're still new, you know? And I think
you have the time. If you have the openings, why not bless them? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So at first it never made sense, right? At that time. But like I said, ultimately, I'm very thankful for that opportunity and that
It's
time
extra
too.
practice. It's extra
Yeah.
rest. Just
It's what
take
made
it
me hit
longer.
the detail, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I started noticing everything, all the detail and everything. So
And then
I
you're
think
able
that's
to expedite those details over time and just figure out how to
right.
make it faster.
Yeah. So I think that's where, in a sense, I kind of found myself with like, all right, cool. This is like not as challenging. Like, don't go as fast. Don't stress out as much. Like, you know, like you said, it's like, it's not that bad. Like, just take it one thing at a time. And now I always say, like, even when I do haircuts, like I tell my clients, even when it's a new client, I'm like, you know, if you're dealing with the time or you need me to hurry up, let me know. But other than that, I'm like, I don't even look at the time because I try not to stress out about the time. For me, it's just that, you know, paying attention to that client, making sure I'm satisfied with the ultimate result and making sure they're also satisfied with it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's good advice for any young barbers listening or anyone in school right now or any of your students listening, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, we all deal with that, with the anxiety. We still deal with it. It just gets easier to deal with it. You find little things that help you. You build confidence, you build repetition, and instincts just kind of take over at one point after you've done it so many times. And you know, I'm sure to this day, Jason, you're always calibrating, you're always adjusting and trying to improve things and make things more efficient. And then that's just with the skills, you know. We're talking about getting to know people and like retaining clientele and just being human. Like that's one thing, one bit of advice I would give to young barbers is just like, especially with developing clientele and building, just be yourself. Like let the client know that you're human, you know. You know, I always, you know, I act like it's a Seinfeld episode or something. Like I just start bitching and moaning about something like relatable in my life that I'm sure like, this traffic. And dude, why they shut down 11th Street? Like they put a train in the middle of the road. Like, you know what? You know, screw me over like after work, but not before work. So like, I connect with them like that. And then, you know, the other day it was funny. Like a fellow barber in the shop was like, "You ever use this shave gel? Do you like this shave gel?" I'm like, "I like this over here, but yeah, I'll try that out. We'll see how it goes." And I was doing a shave, and I'm big, just like that. Little things, everything lining up perfect. Like, you know, I'm used to like catching shit with one hand, like spinning it around, like blap. Dude, I took that shave gel and I like threw it at my client, like it hit him in the shoulder as he was laying down. I was just like, my bad, man. Like little things like that. Like they know I'm a wizard, like with this beard, but like, you know, I'm like, yeah, did I fuck up? I'm like, I swear, you're the first one I did that today. So you just let them know you're human, connect with them on a human level, and then everything kind of falls into place. It seems, you know, especially with those first time clients. It's hard to knock it out of the park. I let them know too. I'm like, hey, you know, come back, man. This is going to get even better. You like this now? It's just going to keep getting better, man. So I appreciate you stopping through. So yeah.
The first haircut is always the hardest one, I always say, because you're kind of just learning, you know, their head shape and everything and stuff like that, their dips, indentations and stuff. So like you said, I mean, the next one would just be a little bit easier because even though we tend to think we don't retain, it's like, oh, cool, I do remember this. You know what I'm saying? We don't write it down, but we remember everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just like someone said, I believe it was a guest of mine. It's just like driving to work. You know, you start a new job and you find the best path to get to work. You know, you might find a faster route, like one way or the other. And same way with the first time client. It was just like, you know, man, I'm learning your head, you know, just like you said. I'm like, you know, I'm learning your hair.
Yeah.
You know, by the time how I cut hair, like I'll cut a head like one side at a time and I'll do the back last.
Right.
I tell them, I'm like, I take forever on this first side because I'm learning your hair and your head. And then when I get to that other side, I kind of zip through it because I know what to expect, and then just bring it together in the back. So, my first boss taught me to do it like that. And he didn't say like you're learning the head. Like I kind of put that together myself, but it's
Right.
just we pick up little things from everyone we've been around and everyone that's been a mentor to us, and it helps
But you
us.
break it down, you in
Yeah,
a sense, you subsection it in a sense. So you're sectioning it.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's
man.
kind of the way I cut hair too.
Yeah.
So, but my system's kind of like side, back, and then side in a sense,
Yeah.
So
I switch it up too. That's the beauty of
yeah.
this. Like
And
sometimes,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I
You're right.
might start in the back. If I know it's someone that's going to give me a lot of trouble in the back, I'm like, let's knock
Right.
this out first. Let's get this over with.
Exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
same thing with like, I might cut a top first instead of starting with the sides and back. Like, so,
Right.
okay. So let's get back into your journey here. So you're in the first shop. You're in the shop you always wanted to work at. Now, did you get your haircut there before?
No,
Okay.
but it was just
So
in a
what
sense
made
like
it the shop that you were like, I want to work there? This is the shop I want to be at.
right. So, I mean, out here, it's just pretty much known as a culture shop. You know what I'm saying? So it would have a lot of events, a lot of like skate stuff, kind of what we do in a sense.
But it
So
was still old school in a lot of ways, right?
yeah. So as I say out here in Cali, right, especially in SoCal where I'm at, it's like there isn't a lot of traditional style barbershops. There's a lot of just modern and a lot of urban style shops.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that traditional part of it, there isn't many. So when it came to like the LA and Long Beach area, that was the only standing traditional shop, and then there was some in different areas, but I wanted to kind of go and cut by the beach, so that's why I went to Long Beach and stuff. So that was a shop that I'm like traditional. It's by the beach. I want to kind of be there and stuff,
What a vibe, dude. What a vibe.
Yeah. So when I started working there, I mean, I was literally 2 blocks from the ocean. So I grew up skateboarding, right? So I always have my skateboard with me to this day. It's in my pickup truck. And I would get to work a little early. Before I would open, I'd always go down to the beach, chill in the bench, and just like zen a little bit and just hang out and just vibe the morning. And then I'd be like, all right, cool. I got like 10 minutes to go open up the shop. Then I'd kind of jet over there. I'm not a coffee person, but I would just kind of go over there and just start my day. And, for me, music, I'd be like, I got to throw some music on,
Yeah.
So
yeah, it opens you up, music. It's crazy what that does. Yeah, it's cool getting to work early. Like you're talking about just settling down and getting into your groove and everything.
Yeah.
I always say, like, sometimes I'm talking to my fellow barbers in the shop. I'm like, sometimes the GM or our boss will walk around and be like, is it hot here? Is it cold? Is it hot? And I'm like, dude, I'm hot no matter what. My first few haircuts. So like, I'm gonna drip. True. Probably my first haircut of the day, I might get a drip down my back, and then after that, you're good. but yeah, it's just it's settling into your day, man. And like you said, you like to kind of go. Like I don't like to sit down once I start working. I only work 4 days a week, so like if I'm at work, especially those like longer, like 9.5 hour days, like I'm gonna get after it the whole day. Like I don't want to. I always say like, I don't take a lunch, but I'm drinking water. Like I might eat a breakfast. Like it doesn't really drain me or affect me.
Yeah.
Like some people say they get shaky if they don't eat or whatever. I'm like, if you were to gauge my haircuts, say I was getting judged off of a haircut or we're doing a video shoot or something like that, I don't want you to come in on my first haircut and do that shoot. I want you to come in on my last haircut and do that shoot.
I'm with you on that for sure.
I'm so polished and refined by the last haircut that is just like second nature to me, right?
Absolutely.
It's funny how, like, say you take off a month from barbering, how much just mentally you have to get locked in and focused to get the, just to be at the level you were cutting at before. Like, it's just like
I think that's my weekly struggle. Going from like doing this, going over here, and all this stuff, and it's always kind of like, all right, I finally got a cut. All right, how do I do this?
Yeah. So you're in the shop 2 days a week now, you said?
Yeah. So check it out. If I can share my schedule, right?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have night school, right? So that's pretty much from like about 5 to 10. And then on on Wednesdays and Fridays, I work remote for another school that I used to like work for full time, but I didn't want to be there full time because I wanted to focus on myself. They still wanted me to kind of be part of them. So I was like, cool, I'll do distance ed. So I'm doing 2 days for them, literally only on computer. And then Thursdays is a day that I try to go and take like full advantage of being at the shop. And then from there, I kind of fill in according to whatever my clients need me at the shop. So sometimes Monday mornings, I'll go in and I'll do haircuts. Like tomorrow, I'm going to go in at 8 a.m. So it's Wednesday. I'm going to be going in, doing that haircut, and then clocking in, doing some distance ed, chilling for a couple hours, and then doing night school around, getting ready around 4, and then just heading out. So, and then sometimes every other Saturday, I'm kind of at the shop too if a client needs me or so. So it's kind of official, but it's kind of like this,
Yeah. That's the beauty of owning your shop and being a business owner. You can a la carte it and make it make sense for you and maximize whatever.
I'll be honest. I always tell my barbers too, like, it's because I've never been the type of a shop owner that's going to be at the shop taking all the work. And then, cause we're booth rent, right? So my guys are paying me booth rent. So for me, it's like, I give them priority. I just take care of just my clients that I've had for long-term, now if they need me to back it up or someone can't come in or is sick, then I'll be like, all right, cool. Let's not let that clientele walk out. I can go ahead and take those walk-ins, that's where it's like, I have the knowledge and pretty much the skill to be able to kind of do that as well. So, but I am very thankful. I do say kind of how you said, right, of the crew that I have, because they give me the opportunity, right, to be able to venture out and continue to grow in the industry and not just in a sense be at the shop. I've already been cutting 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week.
I'm sure you've deserved it. I'm sure you've built up to that. And you're a shining example to your barbers too. And any good barbershop owner is going to have that mentality, want to build up his shop and his employees. My first bosses, they were like, Matt, there's this guy coming to the door. You want this guy? We got that one-way tint.
Right.
And be like, oh, this fucking Matt, you want this guy? Sometimes you get that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
That's important for sure. So
I got a lot of love for them.
To like where. So at what point of your barber career were you at the point to where you were like, okay, I'm no longer an employee, I want to be an owner? What was kind of that moment like, or what drove you to that?
Well, ever since I was in barber school, I wanted to be a business owner. I was that barber student that was like, I want to open up a shop, So, but I did
they have you write out the blueprint of your shop that you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah, we did that.
So actually, that's how it worked out. When I was scouting my actual shop, the building, I had my little blueprint and I'm like, no, this isn't it. I got to go. I'd go to the next spot and I'm like, no, but dude, trip out. So a lot of friends who previously have shops, right, had already gone through the motions of that. They tell me, you're just going to know when it is the right shop. You're going to know when it's the right building. Cause I'm like, I've already kind of scouted a few and I didn't see a lot of them, but I was just like, I don't know, and surely enough, man, I pulled up to, my current location. I was just like, this looks cool. I like the parking lot and everything. Literally lifted up, my blueprint and like, it all just kind of, the restroom was right there, the window was right there. The front door was right there. But I was like, it truly lined up. It did.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
So
and that's when I was like,
the next steps of opening your shop? Like just all the paperwork stuff. I'm sure that was like, oh, dude, I didn't know I had to come up with like
the DBA, the doing business as and registering it, or what? Like your EIN? Your EIN,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I guess that would what it would be.
Yeah.
But there's all those little things, right? Like you didn't know, like your tax ID, and like just like you got.
So that took me some time, though.
Absolutely,
that took me some time.
Part of the like headache that would be like, you know what, dude, I'm just backing out of this.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
literally
little things that would drive me crazy.
But when I was working all day, every day, all I was focused on was just cutting, grinding. And it was cool. Don't get me wrong. I loved it, right? Right before COVID, right? But that's when I was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to stop kind of cutting as much. I had done my taxes, and, my wife was just kind of like, hey, I always do my own business, right? Like I take care of everything myself with it. And this one time I was just like, hey, check this out. She's just kind of like, I don't know, something doesn't sound right. And she has a little bit of background in regards to, business classes, and she's gone to college for that. So she was just like, I don't know, you might want to have someone check this out for you, right? And there I am, just a barber. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Let me go ahead and figure it out. We ended up finding a CPA, right? Which is someone that literally is just an accountant. Once I backed away from cutting actively all day, every day, was when it gave me the opportunity to stand back and see my business and see where I was, in a sense, fucking up. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't doing the paper. Not that I wasn't doing the paperwork correctly, but I wasn't establishing a corporation. I wasn't establishing, a W-2 to pay myself and everything. So actually in 2019, I opened up in 2016, but it took me 3 years of owning and going through all the motions. And in 2019 was when my world, in a sense, kind of all opened up, because that's when I went from sole proprietor to S Corp. So my tax brackets, in a sense, changed, right? Because as I always tell all my students and just barbers in general, that the US loves money and loves corporations, right? So if you're a corporation, they're going to want to help you out. So the tax bracket for that is way lower. But the catch is you got to pay $800. You got to file your taxes. So like for me in school, my part of my course that's not part of the curriculum that we teach here is, and the reason too why I went back to school is to also show these barbers like, hey, you need to establish a corporation. You need to know a little bit of finance. Like you need to kind of educate yourself. You need to research and you need to ask questions. You need to know between an LLC, the difference between that and W-2s, 1099. We all think we're independently contracted, but it's like, how are we really? Are we hybrid? Are we W-2? Are we, 1099?
All those things are important.
Yeah.
Our shop, for example, we're mainly W-2 employees, which is kind of like everything's taken care of. You make all the adjustments at the beginning and you're good to go tax wise. It all gets taken out. But we do have the ability and option to change to 1099 to take care of those things myself or, yourself. And there are little things you can do to maybe you can, pocket a little more money, find more write-offs yourself and do little things. But
you see, one thing that I kind of came to realize though, because with the write-offs, man, it's not so much that you want to write off stuff, because you end up writing so much stuff off that then you're just screwed on the other, the opposite end of it, right? Yeah. So I don't know, man. For me, it's just kind of like once you get the discipline, like it took my accountant to literally drill me, man. Like she would be like, if you go eat at a restaurant, use this card. If you go to the grocery store, use this card, right? And I'd be at like the store with my family, and then my wife's like, hurry up, let's go, people are waiting, and I'm like, wait, I gotta use this card. Like, oh man. But it takes a little bit of discipline, you know what I'm saying? Once she put me on cue and I started kind of knowing, it just everything kind of self-track, but that's where it's like you don't have to save the receipts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was about to ask you. I'm like, are you keeping receipts, or you're able, you got the statements, what I mean?
So I got my accountant, and she does pretty much like a quarterly reconciliation. So every 3 months she kind of just wraps everything up for me. I pay my taxes quarterly. So it's kind of like I the way I explain taxes is kind of like property taxes, right? You're either going to pay it throughout the year or at the end of the year. So for me, it's like, and I always recommend everyone, don't let it catch up. Why do you want to wait and then find out if you got to pay a G or 10 Gs? Nah, just distribute that accordingly. So that's why I have it in a sense quarterly. So every time she does my reconciliation every 3 months, it's like, all right, cool. This is how much you made. You're going to have to pay maybe like $600. It just a smaller amount, So for me, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go ahead and pay that. So by the time I get to the end of the year, all I got to pay is just to file my taxes, which is $800 for any corporation here in California.
Wow, that's not bad, man.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah. And honestly, that's been the greatest thing that I could have done in my barber career and for myself and for the shop, right? Because now in a sense is how I feel it's I've created the wheel, right? So now I have a W-2, now I have my business. That's also why, you know, Old Traditions Incorporated is actually what I own. And then it branches down to Old Traditions Gentleman's Parlor. And that's so far the start of my pyramid, you know, my journey, working my way down and hopefully expanding from there. But, you know, I think that's the important part, you know, and that's one thing that I've analyzed in the industry is that, you know, how they say a lot of the barbers are going to fall off the wave, right? The trend wave. But it's not that they're going to fall off the trend wave. It's just that if you didn't take the time to really figure out, especially in California over here, we're self-funded. Like there's not a lot of shops who do W-2s unless you go to like Sports Clips or like a big chain like that, you know? So it's just kind of a little bit different. So out here, it's like no one's going to show the barbers unless you either do the research, you get screwed, or you're a good listener. You know what I'm saying? You're willing to be that constructive criticism and take a little bit of direction from someone, you know?
That's awesome, man. So you're also giving them, you know, life skills essentially.
Absolutely.
And how to make sure their career is squeaky clean and, you know, make sure you dot all your I's and cross your T's, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing too is that, you know, we have families and stuff, and in a sense, like, how are we going to retire? You know, so in a sense, the system that I have created now with the W-2, it's like, yeah, I am paying taxes, but, you know, I'm stimulating my Social Security. I'm paying for Medi-Cal. I'm paying for things like that. So at least when I retire, even if it's $500, I'd rather have $500 than have no dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we see that a lot with our elders, you know, and that's something that at least I think about myself, and I'm like, I don't want to be caught up in that situation. You know, I don't want to end up having my kids have to do like a GoFundMe and stuff like that, you know? So, so it's just important, you know, I've just kind of learned that like liabilities and assets, right? What type of assets do you want, right? Which we're talking like the chains and the cars and things like that. But having life insurance, having, you know, your business with good insurance, having your cars protected, all that stuff is definitely worth way more.
Or an IRA. Talking
you know
about
what I'm
retiring
saying?
one day. It's like we all don't want to cut hair until we're 80. Like at one point, we got
and I always say it would be cool if we could, but in all reality, like just the wear and tear and the ergonomics of it, it's like, you know, my shoulder was already going out a few years ago, you know, from just grinding it maybe like 6-7 years in. So, you know, it's just at some point, like you said, it's about also just, you know,
I had a bum shoulder this week. That's funny.
Did you?
That.
Yeah. It sucks, right? It's just like, oh man.
Yeah. It's for my daughter. Like I was, we were working out and I was spinning her around in a circle and we were done. Like just, you know, kind of, you know, twirling around, holding her hands. She was parallel. And I'm like, honey, I don't want to hurt your arms or shoulders. And then I'm like, all right, one more time, we'll do it. And then I hurt my shoulder.
Oh, great.
There you go.
Right.
So, yeah, I was like icing it in the shop when I wasn't working. Got through it. But yeah, no, I had an episode just with a financial coach that's a client of mine, and you know, I couldn't get him on this like setting, so I just mic'd him up in the shop.
Oh, okay.
Got my phone out and press record. So yeah, he dropped a lot of gems on just how easy it is to start an IRA. Like you don't need thousands of dollars to invest in any of these things. Like you could literally invest $1, you know, a month or a day if you wanted to into your future retirement. So, you know, all these things are important because, you know, if we don't tell them, you know, how are they going to learn if they don't have the proper mentors or the proper environment? Right.
I mean, absolutely. I was going to say, if I can share a quick little story, right? But this is with life insurance, right? But, you know, life insurance, something we should all just have, you know, we already know how that goes, you know, the taboo topic. So I got this client, man, and, you know, a lot of people are like, hey, do you have life insurance and blah, 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 families asked, right, and everything, and especially like, you know, me going through like having the custody of my kids and everything. Everyone's like, hey, you got to make sure, you know, you have something locked in. So what I was trying to get to is sometimes with like life insurance, we tend to think that it's super expensive, right? So, but if we never research it, we never look into it. So that's kind of how I was, man. But check it out. So there's one day, one of my clients comes in, sits in my chair. He starts telling me how he's paying his bills and stuff like that, and starts talking about his car insurance and then his life insurance payment, right? And I'm like, oh man, that's tight. And hence, you know, I'm 37. This was probably like last year, 36. This guy's maybe like in his mid 20s, right? Younger dude, real estate guy. And I'm just like, right? So I was just like, wait, you have life insurance? I was like, dude, give me your agent's number and how much do you pay a month, right? He's all, I pay like, 50, 60 bucks a month. I'm like, I could totally afford that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm all, hey, plug me in. This is exactly what he told me. He's like, dude, you don't need my person. He's all, just call your insurance wherever you have your car insurance and just tell them you want to add it. Like, that's how simple it is with it. And, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it took me to listen to like that one client, and the fact that I was like, man, he's younger, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got his foot grounded, and I'm just like, I need to do it right. And that's what kind of put me on game. So that's where I'm also thankful for the clients, because we learn from them as well, man.
Dude, we learn the world through our clients.
Absolutely.
Every day there's something we, spread what our clients told us. It's like, don't do that. My clients the other day said, 11th Street, it's a rough street, man. I don't know why I keep bringing up 11th Street. But because the shop's in between 11th and 12th. That's what I'm used to saying. What are so you own a school, or you're obviously working for multiple schools, but you don't.
So I work for two. Yeah. No, I don't own any schools. I just work for two, and I own the barbershop, and I, in a sense, actively cut, taking care of my clientele.
So what are students concerned about these days? Say they're 6 months into their barber school, the program, and it's just what are their main concerns? From anything, a cut, an overall aspect, or just during a haircut? What are they most concerned about?
Well, I think it's before they even get the client in the chair, they're already concerned, but the biggest concern, or, complaint, I guess I should say, that I hear over here with a lot of barber students is just like, we don't get enough work. The school doesn't have enough people. No one shows up, And for me, I'm just like, I kind of get irked by that, because I'm like, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for someone to come in and pick up, the spoon for you and stuff like that. And I'm like, nah, you got to be a go-getter. This is a go-getter's industry, right? So one of the first things that I kind of do with some of my barbers to just kind of break the ice, because they'll be like, oh, I don't like this, or I get anxious. I'll literally give them a couple of business cards. I'll open the door, and there's a restaurant right next to one of our schools. And I'll be like, hey, just go talk to people, And I tell them that you have to be okay with rejection too. If someone tells you nah, I'm okay with that. I got my barber. That's cool, man. You know what I mean? Just
on to the next one.
That's all it is. That's all it is. For every 100 business cards, you'll get that one, You
got to be like a quarterback that just threw an interception, man. It's just, shake it off.
Yeah. So I think the concern, to answer your question, right, is just the fact that they're so focused on we're not getting the work from the school, bringing it in. But for me, it's hey, go out there, go on your lunch, pass out the business cards, tell them you're at the college, tell them you want to come through because you want to get that experience, the hunger,
Yeah. One, I guess I should have asked that in a different way. Are they kind of concerned with the glitz and glamour of the industry? They might see celebrity barbers and Instagram, and they might want to, trying to take pictures of their cuts, or they trying to get the blurriest fade, and you got to make sure they got the customer service layer down too.
Yeah. No, actually, when it comes to that, a lot of the barber students are actually not too aware of these bigger name, barber celebrity people. Yeah. So if anything, it'll be kind of me hey, let me show you guys this podcast, or let me show you guys this YouTube channel, and stuff like that. But
you're the celebrity in their eyes, right? You're the
I mean, yeah, because I'm pretty much the person that they just I've shared my journey with them, and they just they see that and stuff like that. So I start kind of sharing hey, this is my journey, but check it out. This is other people's journeys, and then we're going to create your journey. And I hope I can just be there to help you guide you through that,
For sure. Yeah. That goes back to what we said earlier, just being human, showing them, maybe some bonehead shit that you made mistakes back in the day, and that they might relate to that a little more, and it resonates with them. And, you turned it around. You're a family man now. You're a very successful businessman, and you're doing all kinds of things, and you're lending your knowledge. So that's super important too.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing,
all these things. Go ahead. What did you say?
I was gonna say, just contributing to society. You know what I mean? I got to a point in my life where I'm there's already a lot of scumbags, man. You know what I mean? We don't need another scumbag. So I was just kind of like, it's just about just paying it forward, being mindful. And like I said, being a good example to my children, and not only my children, but the kids who come into the shop, and showing them how to just be chill, man,
Do you want your kids to get into barbering or the hair industry at all?
I originally did when they were younger, but now that they're kind of getting to that teenage, age, they're kind of just self-discovering themselves and everything. And yeah, and I don't want to burn them out with it, but I mean, they go to the shop with me, they hang out. My son helps me out. And it did take some time. So I built a kit for my son, right? And as soon as he turned 9, I was like, here's some tools, here's a comb, here's a mirror, literally the whole set, right? And I was like, hey, bud, here you go. If you ever want to learn how to cut hair, just let me know. So he would always kind of stand and like pay attention to me. It took probably like 3 years. And one day he was just kind of like, I think I want to cut my grandpa's hair, and I was just like, all right, cool. It took his tools to my dad's house. I didn't even tell him anything. I was like, just do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to know,
Wow.
So he ended up just sending me a photo after. And I was actually really surprised, man. I was just like, wow, you didn't butcher him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't ball them out. Like, it was just, a real wonky fade. But I was just like, well, what else would I have expected? You know what I'm saying? Man. So he did a great job with it. But he's not actively like, barbering or trying to cut. So we'll see, though. It's kind of like on and off. Sometimes he gets inspired with it. Then he wants to focus, he loves basketball. So he likes to play and stuff like that. So I always tell him, clean up your friends and the team members. So take advantage.
Yeah, man, that's cool that you kind of expose them to it a little bit. You got a seed planted, and you're just like, hey, man, do your thing. You'll come back to it one day, maybe. So that's cool that you kind of introduced it, but you didn't force them at the same time. Yeah. I'm sure in the back of your brain, you're like, oh man, it would be cool, but that would bring the bond closer. But I'm sure you guys have a phenomenal bond already.
Yeah.
So,
and like we just did I was gonna say we did the Harley Davidson event. So speaking about the bond, but I mean he's who backs me up. Woke up at like 5 a.m. I told him the night before, hey, we're gonna do the Harley event. We already knew it was coming up. We got ready, turns his alarm on. If anything, he wakes up sooner than me. So he's like, hey, Dad, let's go. We start getting up and, he helps me load up the chairs, bro. I can't emphasize that enough. We use a hydraulic lift and then we just he helps me guide them and we load them up in the back of the truck and we just take a bunch of product. We just, do a pop-up. So he's essential. I say he's essential to the shop and he shops up a lot too. So he's not cutting hair, but whenever he does go to the shop with me and I have a day or half a day, sweeping hair. Yeah. And the guys will tip him out and stuff like that. So he gets ambitious with that, whenever he runs out of money, he's like, let me hang out with you, Dad.
How old is he?
He's 13. He's going to be 14 actually on Saturday. So we're going to be celebrating his birthday on Saturday.
That's awesome, man. My daughter turns 5 next month. So
wow.
You're ahead of me, man. I got a youngin'.
Wow.
I'm
get ready, man.
Right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cherish that for sure.
No doubt. So here's the Instagram here. Old Traditions Parlor. I was seeing if I could catch your story here of the pop-up. It might be gone by now. I might have to.
I think it's under the Rios.
There we go. There it is, man. Getting it in over there. Let me mute that before they pull it. So yeah, how'd you kind of get that little connection there?
Well, this kind of taps into the marketing, right? So when it comes to marketing for me, like I said, even with just me using the word barbershop, right? I didn't want to be so bland. So what I try to do, my approach is instead of just marketing my regular clients and always being like, hey, come to the shop. What I do is I kind of tap into the different worlds. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll tap into the off-road world and I'll kind of expose them to like my shop. And I kind of started doing that with the moto world, right? So we started making like biker wallets. We started kind of filming some of the clients that would come in on bikes. We started doing photographs and stuff like that. And then we started getting hired by Harley Davidson and some of the dealerships. So they started saying just they would have like an event, a bike night or something like that, an anniversary, and they would invite us. And we would pretty much get paid or just charge for the day. Like this event, we just charged our regular full prices. And we just go out there and we do our thing. This was actually the third event that we did for this exact dealer, but we've done a lot of events like Moto Beach. It's a big event that they do out here in the beach. It's a big race. We do that every year where we're doing that. We also have done the International Motorcycle Show, which is IMS. That one travels throughout all the states, really. And same thing, we got the opportunity just because they kind of like the vibe of what we got and what we represent. But it's pretty much that SoCal culture, as I say, classic cars, bikes, tattoos, good music, and good haircut. So it's the 5 things that kind of define the custom culture of my world, you know what I'm saying, which is my shop. So, and also, you see all those cars on there. But what I do also whenever we have an event is we'll kind of team up with like a car show, car club, right? So it'll be like, all right, so-and-so car club, we're going to go ahead and do an event. But also where it helps me out is that it expands my demographics, right? So instead of me focusing on all the people that I'm already marketing, it's like I kind of hand over the promo to like a club, and then they expand me to all their friends and family and stuff like that. And it just brings more people, brings more classic cars. And that's kind of the vibe that we've created. Now we get a lot of people who bring these super sick rides and they just want us to put them up on Instagram, They're just like, hey, am I going to come up on Instagram? Yeah. And
I'm not
it's
really into that culture, but like,
yeah,
just from the outside looking in, it looks cool as shit, man.
yeah. So it's just cool. It's the Cali culture out here, the car scene and stuff like that. Not necessarily lowriders, but a lot of like just hot rods and stuff like that, custom cars and stuff. So it's a lot of supporters too, So as well, we're also big supporters to a lot of the clubs and stuff like that. We'll try to go to their events. We try to kind of just promote them as well and stuff. So it just kind of works out, They give us a lot of love. And like I said, ultimately, it helps promote the shop in a whole different demographic. So now in the motorcycle industry and the world, everyone kind of knows old traditions. When it comes to like the car scene, everyone knows old traditions. And in the barber world, everyone kind of knows old traditions, So we're branding.
Yeah, that's how you expand. You kind of expand that audience that way.
Absolutely.
You're kind of able to string it all together there and tie in all the networks.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
So for us, like I said, people like to cruise their cars, cruise their bikes, come out, listen to some of the music that we bump, right? Which is kind of like, we play a lot of rock and roll, a lot of like oldies, a lot of Motown. We kind of just mix it up, but we start early in the morning with like some Motown, some oldies. And then by 12, we're like, all right, we got to switch it up to like Metallica or something, guys. So we start vibing it, but that's where we get a lot of
all day.
Yeah, exactly. So we get a lot of clients who, in a sense, will come in and be like, hey, you know what? I just got drawn in by like the music. You guys had the door open. I mean, I've heard that, literally in the chair. So it's cool because it kind of covers a lot of people. If you're into tattoos, like whenever we have our events, we'll have a live tattoo artist that's kind of there tattooing. Yeah. So we'll have a car show. We'll have a band. We'll have tattoo artists. We'll have piercers. And then we pretty much just do an open house. And then we get involved with some of the restaurants and some of the clients and whatever businesses they have. Like if there's a client who owns a tequila company, so we'll, in a sense, it'll be sponsored by the tequila company and stuff like that. So we involve the community heavy, and it just becomes a really good time.
Oh yeah, man, that's special.
Yeah.
Look at this. You got a little photo shoot here. What was this?
Yeah, this is actually, I got hired by Suavecito about a month ago to do some content. Yeah, so it was a paid gig with them. So if you go on their Suavecito page, like they have all these views, right, for that video. But yeah, we pretty much just did some of their shave line. So I think it was like some combs, some beard conditioners, some beard butters that I did, and just some random stuff, right? I think it was like 20 different products that they were dropping in August that we just pretty much, I got a chance to just try out. So it was cool. Neat little experience.
Did they reach out to you, or how that connection happened?
Yeah, they pretty much reached out to me. They saw me at one of the Harley events. They were actually posted up right there. And we started just kind of talking, and they like the fact that, I'm an instructor in school and stuff like that. So they wanted to see if I can, in a sense, kind of be able to help them and see what we can kind of do. So it's also something that we're kind of in the works right now. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be kind of launching or doing more work with them. So, but we'll see, you know, we'll see. Always taking every opportunity that I can kind of get. And this is the second company that I get the opportunity to work with. The first one that was actually the main company that I've only been sponsored by was Cremo. So you're familiar with Cremo?
I like Cremo, yeah.
Yeah, so I was part of their barber brigade.
I have shaved my head plenty of times with their products.
Right? Honestly, I love their line, man. I love their line.
It's an underrated line. It really doesn't get its flowers, I feel like.
Yep. So I represented them for 2 years, you know, and I liked it, especially because during COVID, as I used to tell my my clients, you know, it's something that's very accessible for them, right? When it comes to being able to acquire that. So
that's
it
what
worked
I always
out.
say. It's easy for the consumer to find, and that's important, no doubt.
Yeah. Yep.
We're running a little long. You know, I touched on a few things. I want to quick fire a couple questions to you that I always make sure I get into.
Let's do it.
A couple fun ones. So do you have any bones to pick in this industry, or with maybe things clients do that it's a bone to pick, or just something you see maybe on the gram, you know, in general?
I'll be honest with you, man. Not really. I'll be honest with you. Not really.
No bones
One
to
thing.
pick. Nothing
Nah.
that's like, it seems like, I don't know, like, I guess a little bone I got is like,
Right.
it's just like barbers these days, we're kind of getting lost in like the glimmer of everything. There's too many, especially younger barbers. You're teaching a lot of the future of barbering right now.
Right.
And once they kind of build a little confidence, sometimes they let their, you know, they let their head get a little big. They're kind of looking into other stuff too much, and where they need to focus on still building and maximizing, you know, their situation until they move on to the next situation, which, you know, might be that, you know, that thing they're mesmerized by that they saw online.
Well, I guess if I may say this,
ahead,
it would probably be how everyone says that they're open to constructive criticism within our industry.
They're not
until you start kind of like, hey, check this out, blah, 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 and this and that, you know. But it happens a lot with the students too, because it's like, hey, you're in school, you're learning and everything, and then I get like crossovers too, right? And this has to do with a lot of the crossovers, right? But they're just like, you know, this is kind of the way it goes and this and that, and they'll kind of try to like counter you, and it's just kind of like, all right, cool. The thing is that there's different ways. There's many ways, you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of ways to the
But then people kind of center like, no, like there's the one right way. And I'm just like, yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? You should be a little just open-minded with everything.
No doubt, brother.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into this. The disease of being a perfectionist. Do you fall victim to this at all, like I do?
You know what? Yeah, man. I'm a big overthinker, anxiety, all that stuff. So yeah, you know, I always just try to like give it my best with a haircut and leave it as perfect as possible. But at some point, I'm just like, all right, cool. Got to kind of just let it go as well, you know. But yeah, that tends to bug me, man. I'll go home, like you said, with a bad haircut, and I'll just be like, man, I had that off day. I can't believe this happened. Or, you know, it would have thrown me off.
Next time they pop up on your schedule and you're like, all right, now I know. I got this one. I'm definitely not going to approach it like this.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I'll be like, all right, it's going to be better, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be like, it ain't going to be the same.
We beat ourselves up. Like, you're taking a shower and you're just like, God, why'd I do that?
Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I've gotten a lot better too with just like, it's almost like if you want to be a perfectionist, you just have to be faster about it. Like you just have to. Do you I guess have trouble like falling behind ever in your day, or do you still ever struggle with that, or you kind of got that down to a science at this point?
Well, okay, so it's not the work in a sense that makes me fall behind, but it's my mouth. I tend to talk a lot.
Of course.
So, you know what I mean? I'll just be caught up just talking and stuff like that. Because I am the type of barber that I'll be like, don't get me wrong, like I'll be cutting and working, But like, I like that, you know, I like to look at people in their eyes, right? Have that eye contact. So for me, I'll just be like, all right, cool. And I'll come over and I'll be talking to them, and yeah, man, I'll be that barber in the front, having that one-on-one, literally face-to-face, you know? And then I'll be like, all right, cool. All right, let me go back to like cutting. You know what I'm saying? And I go back to like cutting.
You're like,
so
you walk in front of them. You're like, so I told the guy, are we going to do it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You give them the visual, you know, like, so, I mean, that's kind of,
acting it out like a comedian on stage or something. Like,
yeah. So I would say that would probably be like the one thing, you know, that would kind of just draw me back a little bit on my timing. But I also do say, and my clients know this, so if they see this, they know it's true. But when it comes to schedule, my life's all over the place, bro. So thankfully, barbering is the only thing that'll give me some sort of like coordination throughout my day and like kind of true structure.
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's
so
like you get to settle into what's routine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get to settle into what feels comfortable. There's no curveballs usually.
Yeah.
You try to minimize. You try to minimize the curveballs for sure, because they can come a little heavy at you as well.
But I'm kind of a late bird though, man. Like for me, it's like, you know, like let's say for us, right? We said we were gonna jump on this at 3:30, and I'm like 3:28. I still got 2 minutes. I'm that type of person. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I gotta be there on the dot. You know. Yeah. So of course it never quite works out like that. So usually I'm kind of behind a little bit and stuff like that. But you know what they say. People that usually tend to not be on schedule, they say that they tend to kind of be, you know, optimistic and planners and stuff like that. So I tend to look at that positive side of things, you know?
Yeah, you can see the silver lining in it. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I was overly prepared that I like missed my mark type of deal. So yeah.
There's no such thing as being over prepared. That's good.
Right? Yeah.
So last question, what do you feel like the perception of barbering's at now compared to what it may have been before? Do you think it's kind of improved any? You think it's stayed the same?
I think skill wise, it's definitely just excelled. You know, it's on a whole nother platform. Especially me working a little bit more traditional, right? And getting these younger barbers that are just doing some stellar work and just enhancements and all that stuff, right? Color, dye, braiding and all that. So I think it has kind of grown and it has been doing very well. But like I said, I think the little pocket of just what I kind of do notice is that everyone kind of does get caught up in the wave of the cutting part of it, but we have to kind of really focus on the actual business part of it, you know? And like I said, yeah, because ultimately that's what's going to kind of create that longevity or that long-term barber, because that's how we're starting to see, like for us here in Cali, a lot of barbers that are like, well, you know what, screw it. Barbering wasn't what I thought. I did it 5 years and this and that. And, you know, I couldn't even get a car out because, well, they can't claim anything on paper, you know? So that would probably be like just my perception, you know, of barbering these days, those two things, man, that it's growing in the skills, but also it's kind of lacking a little bit of that pocket when it comes to like just really, really treating our business as a business. You know, we took it as the trade part of it. That was the last like 10 years. Cool. But this is going to be the rest of our lives. Now let's focus on the business part of it, you know?
Yeah. And just like public perception, even like, I feel like it's gained a lot more popularity. A lot of people have noticed it that aren't in the industry. And, you know, it's kind of noticed a little more as like a serious, you know, business. You know, we're viewed as businessmen more and entrepreneurs more than before, as just like, you know, a bunch of fellas bullshitting in the shop, like just, you know, breaking balls all day. Like, you know, it's definitely more than that. Like we're making people feel good all day. We're teaching them, we're molding the kids of the community. You know, we're trying to inspire and relate to people. And that's what this podcast is, man. Trying to change the perception a little bit and let people know.
100%.
And which brings me to you know, kind of the end man to this. Just letting people getting to know you, and
thank you.
A special thing to let people in on the secret that barbering is, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so closing, do you got anything coming up, man? Anything in the works? Any new ventures? outside of what you're already doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I'm, entering the whole realm of instructing, right? So I've been doing that since 2021, but the plan is to hopefully, like I said, I wish my institute I would have been able to preserve that. So in all reality, I hope that one day I can be able to launch my own institute, and I've already done the research. Now I just need to kind of just make sure everything lines up. So who knows when, but I'm big with manifestation. So hopefully I can open up, an institute of myself to where I can kind of just teach my own way. The curriculum's the one thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same book, bro. But if I can be able to kind of just add a couple things, like I said, the marketing part of it, the PR part of it, the finance and the corporation part of it, incorporate that and have an institute that really caters and focuses on like the barber program 100%, and have that be the main focus. I mean, that'll be a goal. That's what I want to, in a sense, hopefully be able to contribute to our industry, aside from also just growing and branding my shop on the side, So I also want to, I'm working my way to hopefully being able to open a second location. A lot of people are asking us, and we're to that point where we've exceeded that. We're 10 barbers, and we still got a lot of work.
Wow. I never asked,
bro.
10 barbers in the shop. That's huge.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, we're cranking. Everyone's pretty much just about busy. And that's kind of the plan, to be able to hopefully open up an institute and open up another location in the next maybe like 5 years or so. We'll see.
Oh yeah, man. Big goals. It looks like you're on your way, man. You got the virtual teaching, you got the on-hand teaching, you got the shop, 10 barbers, the family, and you're still striving forward, man. It's funny how things work like that, right? It's just like,
absolutely,
you attain something and you want to keep going. You see how far you can take it.
Yeah,
so Jason,
absolutely.
That's so cool, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on here, brother, and sharing your story to everyone, and letting people get a little glimpse of what we're about, right? So what's your Instagram? We showed it. It's Old Traditions Gentlemen's Parlor on Instagram, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll put that up on the screen and post, and I'm going to be making reels. We're going to be promoting this thing, man. I appreciate any participation and sharing it around. We're going to,
you already know,
share my network and your network, your story, and get to know you a little better, man.
Absolutely, dude. It was a pleasure. And that's a beautiful thing about barbering, man, that it's like, no matter where we're at in the world, one thing just kind of brings us together, and we can be here and literally, talk through the night. So that's awesome.
Sure. Appreciate you, Jason. Take care, my man. Have a wonderful night.
Cool.
And thank you again, man.
All right. I'll see you, man.
Peace. Thanks for watching another episode of the Your Barber Podcast. New episodes come out weekly on Sunday. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when new content is posted. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.